Sisters United Outreach Ministry is proud to present Let's Talk Family, a woman, man, and family-centered TV ministry. This ministry addresses the whole person mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually throughout educational development, interpersonal relationships, and provide community resources.
Welcome to another segment of Let's Talk Family. I'm Sister Ann Allen.
And I'm Sister Good. Hello.
And I'm Bob Sisler. How are you?
We are so elated that you have taken this opportunity to tune into our broadcast.
Yeah.
Today we're going to have some important information for you with all these things that's happening in the city. And Bob's sister going to start off talking about the things that's happening in our city. But first, we will give honor to God, who's the head of our life. We're going to ask Sister Good to lead us into a word of prayer.
Okay.
We'll start with our announcements.
Will you go to the Father in your own way? Oh, gracious and kind Heavenly Father, we're so grateful that you allowed us to come before you, the listening audience.
Mm-hmm.
Father, we ask that you hear them and as they take everything that they need to your throne of grace. Lord, watch over them, protect them, and guide them, Lord. And give us the strength and the fortitude to do what we need to do, Lord. And to address everything that we know the people need. We're going to be as diligent as we can, Father.
Amen.
And give Bob the opportunity to let the people know what's going on with them, Lord. Give him that information where he can relay it to the others.
Amen.
Bless us all, Lord, in a special way. Amen and amen.
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 Okay, now we're going to go with our announcements today. Our first announcement is Ronald Cross, who is the minister for the Metro Central Church of Christ, where Sister Good attends. They're located at 4455 Barham Street, Detroit, Michigan. Their telephone number is 313-640-9970. Their Bible class, the service is held at 11 o'clock. They also have Wednesday night Bible class that begins at 7 o'clock, and I know they'd love to have you to visit. The next church is Linwood Church of Christ, Minister Darnell Stewart. You can come visit him at 14001 Linwood, Detroit. That telephone number is 313-868-7795. And their Wednesday night Bible class begin at 7 o'clock. Sunday morning Bible class begin at 9:45. And they have 5 o'clock evening service. But I think they have canceled that until further notice, so they're no longer having Bible class at 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Then we have Liberty City Church of Christ. Our address is 12411 Strasberry, and you can call us at 313-898-2016. And that's Brother Mark Thompson, who's the minister. So you can come out and patronize these different churches, work together to bring about a change. Also, Sister Good, you want to talk about standard rehabilitation?
Well, we have Standard Rehabilitation, who also provide all the service that you need and accept all kinds of insurance, Blue Cross, Medicare, PPO, total health care. The most important thing that you can do is just call and see if he accepts the insurance that you have.
That's right.
Don't just automatically think because we didn't announce what insurance that you have that he don't take it. Call the office and ask him. And he's has free transportation.
That's right.
He's located, that's very important, free transportation, high as gas is,
That's right. That's a plus.
15785 Livernois is his address, located right in the midst of, I say Livernois and Finkel, right in that area. And I always give Finkel as a guidepost where people know where Finkel is, most people. So and then you ain't got to worry about knowing where it is. You're going to call and get a ride.
That's right.
So call Dr. Bellows. He also provides treatments for fracture, injuries, auto injuries, neck, back pain, work-related injuries, stress, neurologist dysfunction. And he also has a certified staff to provide this service to you.
That's right.
So make sure you call Dr. Bellows and let him know whatever your problem is, and believe me, he will take care of it. Again, the name is Dr. Bellows. Phone number 313-934-2623. Okay? And we have Hurley's Veterinarian Dog and Cat Hospital. It's run by Dr. Morale. Also, one of my favorite persons is Dr. Morale because my dog lived there as much as he lived at home. And the address is 15018 Livernois. Phone number is 313-863-5350. He's open 7 days a week, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and Saturday 8 to 4, Sunday 8 to 2. His logo is Pet Healthy Caregivers have healthy pets. Let's do that again. If you're a healthy caregiver, and I am now, got a healthy pet because Dr. Morale does his job to make sure that he stays that way. And he's very firm and strict on you getting all your shots for your animals because if you're going to have an animal, you have to take care of him like it's your child. So remember that. Dr. Morale, Earl is veterinarian. Located 15018 Livernois. Please call him 863-5350. And while you're there, tell him who sent you. Okay? Tell him who sent you there.
That's right.
Okay? He'd be so proud when I get there now. I'm going to have to make 2 or 3 appointments. But make sure you go see Dr. Morale. Okay? Anyone else that we have? Universal Health Care. Okay, they're located at 24315 Northwestern Highway. I'll repeat that again. 24315 Northwestern Highway, Southfield, Michigan. Phone number 248-423-0236. He provides all kinds of dual services for you. And he has a staff of all types of persons. I was going through it. Nobody was missing. Nurses, therapists, social workers. All you have to do is have the pain and he got the person to take care of it. So any pain that you might have, he takes care of that as well. He has a long list of ailments that he deals with, so you can't find one that he can't cure or help you deal with. So make sure you call Universal Health Center for your own protection.
Now, the last one is us, Sisters United. You can call us at 313-615-6323. Again, our telephone number is 313-615-6323. That's Sisters United Outreach Ministry. So we love to have you call us. You can call us today on that number, 313-615-6323. Now, we are getting ready to go into our discussion about, what's been happening with the city, with the governor signing this document that regarding your pension.
Pension.
And so, Bob, he's going to start addressing that.
Well,
Hey, wait a minute. We know who Bob is now. We want to give you some information on Bob. Bob know everything there is to know about this pension and the union and everything. So
union people.
he one of them union folks. So you just make sure if you need an answer, call up here. She gave you the phone number.
Ask
So
Bob.
there you go. Ask Bob. That's what we're gonna start saying. Ask Bob.
Ask Bob.
Because we have to study and we have to deal with issues that we don't know them right off our head. Bob is sitting in there all the time.
He's all over the city, all over the country, right, Bob? Where you just came from?
I just came out of Canada, Calgary.
Yes.
Okay, and he's also an actor.
Yeah.
He just acted in Crucifying the
Actually,
Color.
I'm going to Chicago this week, and I'm attending a interfaith workers' justice seminar.
Amen.
And I think one of our actions will be to demonstrate in front of Walmart.
Oh, okay.
And, when you define me as a union person, I'm proud of that.
Amen.
But I think I have to define what I mean by a union.
Okay.
I think what we need to recognize that in this country, especially after World War or during the Depression, Franklin Delano Roosevelt basically listened to 2 groups of people in order to turn the country around out of the major depression.
Mm-hmm.
One was social workers, the other one was unions.
Mm-hmm.
And why? Because the power is in the people.
It
That's
is.
right. That's right.
For example, in other countries, here in our country, we try to use these terrorist tactics.
Yeah.
And when we talk about McDonald's, people, if you say, hey, we'd like to see workers at McDonald's get $15 an hour, everyone looks at their pocketbook and they say, oh my God, the hamburgers will skyrocket,
That's what they
$15
think.
for a hamburger.
Yeah,
It doesn't work that way.
no, it doesn't.
You have to recognize these folks are raking in billions of dollars.
Mhm.
And they've already been identified. It's Wendy's, McDonald's, and Burger King.
Mhm.
Multi-billion-dollar
That's right.
companies across the world. What I have to do is to point out that there's some European countries and Australia came to bat for their workers, and they said in Australia they get about $16 an hour for minimum
So look at
wage,
that.
because minimum wage should take you out of poverty.
That's right.
You should be able to work 40 hours and be taken out of poverty if you want a healthy society.
Mhm.
Do you know how much the hamburger went up? A quarter.
Fries went up 20 cents.
Because when you sell more massively,
Mhm.
you can actually treat your workers better. That's been proven time and time again
Mhm.
with
That's
places
right.
like
That's
Costco versus
That's
Sam's
true.
Club. So we have to ask ourselves, is it up to us to give somebody a quarter an hour where they have the dignity and respect of taking care of their family, their living arrangements,
Mhm.
and having some leisure time both to go to church and to spend some time with their family?
That's right.
Is that worth it?
Quarter.
Or are we going to keep that quarter so that every year we can throw an extra $1 or $2 into the collection for Gleaners or one of these poverty programs that we have? We can wipe out homelessness, we can wipe out hunger,
I agree.
and we can
That's
do it
right.
with
I
dignity
agree.
and respect if
I
we do
agree.
it right.
Mhm.
And that's why I believe in unions, because I think one day people will realize that they need to unite
Right. Mhm.
and demand these actually what it would be is the Bill of Rights that Franklin Delano Roosevelt talked about after World War II, or during World War II.
Now, let me ask you a question, because I've heard many people talking about the union. This is where the union doesn't do what it's supposed to do, so I shouldn't have to pay my union dues. So what's your response to that?
Any place you go, the union has done what they're supposed to do. They've negotiated a contract,
Okay.
and they've given you a way to live, that you can appeal a decision of a boss, etc., in some kind of legal way. So I don't know what they mean by that. They may not like to pay the dues, but let's look at it a different way. The Michigan Chamber of Commerce and the Detroit Business Association both have said that they believe in the right to work. What right to work means is that if I go into Ford Motor Company,
Mhm.
Ford Motor Company has a contract with the UAW. If I choose that I don't want to pay those union dues, I shouldn't have to. Now wait a minute, they just negotiated the contract that gives me vacation, gives me health care, gives me eye care, gives me dental care, gives me the right to be on a job without fear of just being let go for no reason.
That's right.
That's what so you don't have to pay for that, even though you got it. Whereas if you don't want a union contract, go down the street to Walmart.
That's
You,
right.
you will be an
Oh, you said
at-will
that.
employee,
You
you
go
will
to
not
the
have any of
DMC.
those
That's
benefits,
Some
so
of the
you don't have to
DMC
pay for
employees.
it. Now, the same people, being the Michigan Commercial Group, the Detroit Business Association, ask one of those if you could join their organization and not pay your dues. Ask them if they'll give you free dues just to come in. You know they're not gonna let you in. That's like saying you wanna go to the DAC and just, well, I wanna go in there and swim. Can I go in there and swim? No, you have to be a member.
That's right.
So if you want the benefits of that membership, you have to pay for the membership.
Because when you're an at-will employee, you have no representation.
And no rights.
That's right, because
No
at the
right.
DMC, some people have union, but social workers, we're not part of a union, not at DMC. So you're an at-will employee. They come in today and say, well, you gone, you gone.
Right.
You have no recourse.
And I don't want to do too much without having some obligation, because I feel that if you obligate, I can be able to go to you
That's
and
right,
make
you're
you
right.
do some things that I can if I'm an at-will person.
Correct.
Because I swim all the time and Northwest charged me so much a year to swim, and I'm a senior.
Mhm.
And I enjoy that because I'm going to go right to the top when the water's not right or when something's not,
Mhm.
because
You pay
it's
your-
due me because I'm paying dues,
That's right.
a membership. So we
That's right.
need to remember what paying membership and dues mean.
Mhm.
It
Right.
gives us power.
That's
But
right.
you ain't got no power. As he said,
That's
if you
right.
don't
It's
want any
at will.
Bible, go to Walmart or somewhere.
Mhm.
You have no protections.
And
That's
see, the other part of this is, if people don't pay their dues, then the power of the union to negotiate with the boss is down. And you have to realize that these bosses are not generous.
Mm.
Last winter, I noticed that the head of Ford Motor Company, Michaeli, or I don't know his exact name, but the head of Ford Motor Company was with Gleaner's Food Bank. And they were talking about the millions of, not millions, but dollars that they were giving to the food bank so people could eat during the holidays. Sounds nice, right?
Mm.
This is a corporation that last year posted billions in profit. Now keep in mind, when they were having difficulties, they came back to the seniors and they came to the workers and they said, give us some money, let us make profits, let us do better. Now that they're doing better, have they bothered to give anything back to the seniors that they once took away? Have they bothered to give back their health care benefits or their, they used to get a Christmas bonus and things like that? No, they haven't. So what happens is these folks that pretend that they're generous actually cause the problem that we have to have places to pass out food because they're not giving out decent wages.
Yeah, that's true. So now let's go into this, what's happening in the city now.
With the
Governor
retirees.
Snyder signed a retirement reform for retirements to be able to pay off their pension. They have pension, but now they gotta pay another percentage, right? So why don't you elaborate on that?
Now, this is what I understand. I wasn't really prepared because we were supposed to have another guest speaker and this is coming. But yesterday, we heard this announcement that the Governor Snyder did sign this bill. And what it will do is to give so many millions of dollars to the city of Detroit to come out of bankruptcy. And part of the agreement is that they will go to the police and fire, which I think have very little, if anything, that they have to give back, but then to the other workers who are to give up at least 4%. Now that doesn't sound like very much, but let me explain what I have seen since this news broke. If you take someone who's not a fire or police officer and they work for the city, they're to give up 4%. Now what they aren't telling you is that that's in their defined money. So what does that mean? It means that the pension they had with the city will be 4% less than what they were getting. But then there's another pot of money that this is money that the people themselves put in and created like a separate savings account, like 401k is what how it's explained to me. But because it's city, municipal, it may have a different number to it than 401k, but that's what most people understand. Because I know with the state of Michigan, it's 357 because it's a special group of people putting money away. But what they want to do is take 15% out of that extra money that they've gotten. Now keep in mind, this isn't money that city workers gave or that the city gave to these people. This is money that they work for and they put into the pot. And for them to have to be responsible to the banks and to the bankruptcy just does not seem justified. So what you're looking at is if you had one of these, the plans, the 401k type plans, you're looking at 15% there, you're looking at 4% on your other, on your regular pension, you're already up to 19% cut in what you were getting already that you thought you were guaranteed for life. Now here's the real clicker. Healthcare. If you're not 65, you're not going to get a thing. You're going to have to go into the exchange and try to figure out something from the exchanges. that is incredible to ask people to do this. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to balance budgets. Now, what are we trying to balance here? We are trying to balance a budget that, number one, was the problem was created partially by the state. I forget how many millions of dollars, it seemed like it was in the hundreds of millions of dollars, that the state of Michigan has refused to give the city of Detroit in revenue sharing. Now, what is revenue sharing? Is revenue sharing simply, oh, I want to give to the church today, so I pick out my check and I send it over to Detroit? That is not what revenue sharing is. Revenue sharing is when the city of Detroit takes in 40% of every daily lottery winnings, or earnings, not winnings, earnings, out of the city of Detroit to support the state. When the liquor sales tax and all that stuff that's so, and you know how many liquor stores there are in the city of Detroit.
And cigarettes, I guess.
Cigarettes too, I
Yeah.
forgot about that one. And they take that and they put that in the general fund. Revenue sharing is saying, hey, if we're taking in all this money, we should kick it back to the city that may be having some trouble, that generated the money in the first place.
That's right, that's right.
That's what revenue sharing is. It is not begging, it's getting your due back.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
What's due you.
There you
That's
go.
what it is. It's what do you. And I think what the people don't know is what's due 'em.
Right.
And that's why they sell for doing it, let them do anything, because they really don't know how that revenue thing sharing goes.
Right.
It's a lack of knowledge that keeps them in the hole where they are.
Another thing that's very important is that in our Michigan Constitution, it says that any pension that has been set up and certified by the state shall not be depleted, shall never be depleted like this. This bankruptcy judge says he doesn't care about the Michigan Constitution. People, why aren't you upset with that? But I guess people aren't upset because they don't
Because
seem
they
to be
don't know.
upset
They don't
that they're
know.
taking
They
away
don't
your
know.
right to vote. They don't seem to be upset that they've taken away all of our schools. People don't seem to be upset that they're asking people to work for little or nothing.
That's sad, Bob. That's really sad, because a lady was asking me at swimming, because I worked for the state and retired. She said when her husband passed, and it was just an oversight, I presume, on them at some point, and when he retired before she married him, he retired a year before she married him. And then when he died, they wouldn't give her his retirement.
Because I think you have to be married at least 10 years before you qualify for that.
I didn't know.
My
That made no
understanding
sense
is
to
when
me.
I retired,
Private
I had options. I could take out all the money under my name. I know people who, the husband and wife both had retirement.
Okay.
So they took the retirement out, this older gentleman that I know took the retirement out and named his daughter, who was like 17 at the time, to get his pension if he dies.
So
See-
what happened with
see-
the wife?
Well, she had her own pension. They had enough
No.
money to
Yeah,
live on.
they had, yeah.
And they thought, we will help our daughter
Yeah.
out so that, you know, when he dies, hopefully she will live beyond him.
Yeah.
But she will get that for the rest of her life.
That part I understand, because my husband and I both worked, and my pension was more than his. So my pension, I couldn't get his anyhow, mine was more than his.
Well, but it doesn't matter. Yours could even be more than his. Now if you're talking about Social Security, yes.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about pensions, when you go to sign them up, it's like an annuity, it's like a trust fund. You design where and how you want that money passed out. And there are various options in it, even with the state.
So what happened with her, and I just told her, you need to check with the lawyer.
Right.
Because what happens to the money? That's the thing that I was thinking. Well, what happens to your husband's retirement money if you can't get it? It just sit there?
Well, it could be that it just goes back into the system. It depends on how you designate it. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
You know, for example,
he
this
did.
guy turned around and designated his 16-year-old
Yeah,
daughter
I
at the
know.
time. She's older now, 20-something.
Mhm.
But let's say she dies before him. Guess what?
It goes back to the,
When he dies, that'll be it.
Mhm.
She won't get it. The plan won't work. See? So when you make the plan out, the plan doesn't always go the way
But do you
you
have
want
like
it.
a-
God has a different plan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you try to do the best you can.
Yeah, you do.
So,
so you don't have an option where you can say, well, if something happened to my daughter, then someone else, my cousin, someone else can benefit from that.
right,
But
but
you
see,
put out-
again, each pension, each annuity or pension has certain restrictions. For example, I may not be able to choose my dog, but I could choose a direct descendant. So it all depends on what the pension says, who you can designate. I think it has to be a direct. Well,
So what I
again,
did-
each one is a little different.
They
So I
got to
did
be
my
there.
son, and then even though my grandson is young, so I said my son and then my oldest grandson. You
Okay,
know,
now
so-
is that a pension,
Yeah, it was on
annuity?
my, pension.
Pension, okay.
Mhm.
So,
But see, but in this case with her, I just wondered, it kind of hit me strange, and what happens with her husband's money? No, he didn't take time and give it to nobody, he just didn't do anything.
Assume that probably she gonna get it.
Yeah,
yeah,
See, that's the
see,
same.
the difficulty is you have to look at each plan and then design it.
and
So
when you don't
so-
do it, you just lose.
And
You
you
can't-
can't
you
assume
can't.
that that person, just because this is my wife, then they're gonna get my benefit. So the
Right.
structure is so. that
And see, what happens is, you get a greater amount if you're the only one.
And that's
If
true.
you assign somebody else, you may take a little lesser amount. So, you know, you look at what your income is and what you can do, and,
See, that's what they told me too. Now, if you take this right here, then you'll get a great amount. But if it's your son, if something happened to me, then if I take a great amount, then my son won't be able to benefit.
get
from it.
anything. But if you take a
Mm-hmm.
little less, then he'll be able to take
Mhm.
benefit of that plan.
Yeah.
And it also has to do with where you're working.
Oh, yeah.
Where you work, 'cause I
Mhm.
retired and when I made my beneficiary over to my kids, they got just as much as they would have gotten, you know, if something happened to me, you know. they
So
still
did you, one kid or just one specific child or what?
Two, I put two, and they take care of the rest, you know. I put two, the beneficiary.
Oh, okay.
Well, wouldn't be they could kind of make it themselves and work with each other and to make sure everybody else gets
That's
something.
something.
Yeah.
So getting back to the city of Detroit here, so these workers are being asked to give up a lot. And
19% you said.
And what may happen, you said you worked for the state, do you realize that the state, that their pension is, I think it was underfunded, only 60%, it was like 60% funded,
Yeah.
66, something like that. But
Yeah.
what they had to do was they went to the state and they asked for money to make sure, that
Yeah.
they'll have enough to pay it off. Now, that's a little bit of, design is different there, because right now under the Constitution, they're honoring it. But if this judge gets away with saying they don't have to honor the Constitution, it may start affecting other pensions around the country. Illinois is in trouble.
Yeah.
Now, Michigan actually has 4 pensions. One's for the judges, one's for the police officers, state police.
Yeah. They all
One's,
on the state.
One's for state workers, and there's
And
one
the state,
other.
yeah.
There's one other, I can't remember what the other one is. But most of them are almost fully
social
funded,
workers and-
except for
and
the
human
one that's
services
state
worker, yeah,
workers.
That's one.
And that's the one that's less, because
Yeah.
they changed the plan, so nobody else is coming into it
Yeah.
to add to it.
They did.
What they've done is made workers into these 401Ks, and there aren't
Yeah.
defined
Mhm.
contribution
Yeah.
pensions. So it makes it difficult. Now you say, well, why is that important? Well, when you have people who are having enough money to live on, they feed the system by buying stuff for the system. That's why it's important that, for example, as we were talking about in Australia, if people are making a living wage, if they're making $16 or $15 an hour, depending on where they're living, they are able to contribute to the society. And they feel part of the society. Whereas if you're not having a difficult time making ends meet, there's stress, anxiety.
Yeah.
That's where we're getting these people shooting each other,
Yeah.
and just because even though they're trying, they're not able to make ends meet based on the reality of the facts. The facts are, if I go and I work for $7.25 an hour, by the time they take out the taxes, I'm bringing home hardly nothing.
Nothing.
So Barbara, at this point, let me give them my telephone number again.
Mhm.
Now, if you want to call and talk about what's going on in the city, our telephone number is 313-615-6323. Again, that number is 313-615-6323. So call and ask Bob.
Another issue that I think is very hot is where they're cutting water off for people who have a bill of $150 or more.
Oh, yeah, I
I
saw
mean,
that.
One
too.
thing we have to realize is that water has skyrocketed
Yes, it has.
over the
It
last
has.
few years.
It's
50,
gone up.
it must be at least 50%, if not
Mhm.
more, what we're paying for water.
And when they attached the sewer to it, that made it worse.
Sewer.
Oh, my God.
Sewer wasn't bad. There's something called drainage, so that if the water's draining, it's going down the street, they're charging you for that too.
They do.
I mean, it's
They
bizarre
do.
what's on those bills. But here's the issue. There are people who are filing complaints that water is a human right. Do we believe that everyone should have water? Do we believe that people should have water to wash, to drink, to bathe themselves, to flush the toilet with? Do we believe that? If we do, then we have to start advocating that. This isn't a business. This is a necessity. Water is a necessity.
It
And
is.
even when we talk about
It
the
is.
United Nations, that is a
Call
human
us,
right that we talk about all the time.
Ms. Marcia, we're talking about the information where Governor Snyder signed the bill in for the pension, that they're gonna be taxing people pension. So that's what our focus is today. You have a question?
Is the lawyer there?
No, she's not here. No,
No.
she didn't come in today. Bob is here to ask questions about what's happening going on in the city.
Well, I asked about, what do we think that the pensioners should say yes or no? And if yes, why?
So she's saying that people should.
Should they
vote
say yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're asking someone to give up 19%, now, I'm glad you asked that question.
Mhm.
If you say yes, then you've agreed to the plan that the governor has worked out and this emergency manager. If you say yes, there's no other recourse.
Okay.
And if you say yes, they could come back and say, we still need more from you.
Yeah, that's the
If
point.
you say no, there are still other recourses. You can go to federal court. There's certain things you can do at different levels, even at state levels, even though our Supreme Court wouldn't be the best one to apply to. But there are other recourses that you have. So if you're asking me what to vote, if I was in that situation, I was looking at a 19% cut, it would be very difficult for me to exist with the 19% cut. I'd have to say no and take my chances with people coming together, people unionizing, people recognizing this injustice and stopping it. That's
So
what I would
did you
take
hear
my
what he
gamble
said?
with.
Did you hear what he
Oh,
said?
yes, I agree with them. I think that the pensioners should say no and take the chance because it's absolutely, there haven't been any guarantees built in there for them at all. They should have come back and change their mind.
That's what he said.
I think that they should say no. Mhm.
Okay.
In fact, I just heard this today, August 14th, they're going to ask everyone to come down and to the federal building and protest against this injustice.
Okay.
Exactly.
And why don't you repeat that again?
August 14th,
August 14th.
it's a Thursday. I don't know the exact time. It's usually been 9 or 10, but we'll let you know that in the future. But mark that day off. We all need to be down there. They need to have millions of
August
people in the
14th.
streets to say, this is wrong. Judge, this is wrong.
Right.
Now keep in mind, who is? Every union I've talked to, they've said no.
Well, the union, he said, is saying no.
I mean, the ones I've talked to, Mel, there
ones
may
that
be
he
some
talked to.
others that are saying yes, but you know, again,
Saying no, because these people, they're gonna have to give a 19%. No, the total is 19 because, explain to Bob, 19%.
4% is off their regular pension. But people who have 401ks, they're looking at giving up 15% of that money. And what they're doing is trying to adjust the bill to the creditors who happen to be the banks. Now keep in mind, these are banks that are flush with money. And how did they get flush with money? Because during the Bush years, what happened was there was changes in federal law that regulated banks to allow them to make these loans. Not only did they make these loans, but they did predatory lending. Do you know what predatory lending means? You mislead people. When you are supposed to be representing a contract, federally you're supposed to let these people know. When it was guaranteed by the government, they were supposed to let them know. Well, what they did was they put in real little print about the truth of the loan. But I'm going to give you an example. There was a lady who was getting $1,200 a month because we demonstrated on her house. And what they did was they said, we can give you this loan for you to repair your furnace, put in new windows, and you can settle in here real nice. And they said your loan will cost you about $350 a month. She signs it. It was one of those ARM loans. So that after she got done with that 3 or 4 years, the ARM kicked into $900 a month. What was criminal about that was that they did not let her know that it was going to go up to $900, and there was no other reasonable. There was no reasonable thought that she was going to get more money after that 4 years, that her Social Security was going to stay $1,200. It was like she had an annuity coming due, or she was going to inherit some money that would have brought her income up to maybe $2,200 a month. So there was no foreseeing of that. That's what the bank is supposed to do. That's why you guarantee a loan from the government, Sally Mae and them. So what did they do? They foreclosed on this lady, throw her out of her house. They take the federal money to get the money off her loan that she apparently couldn't pay. So they throw her out. They get that money. They turn around and do they keep the house up? No. They let it get vandalized. Let the piping get taken out. It's a vacant lot now.
That's called scavenging.
So then what happens is the federal government has found these banks guilty of predatory lending and has fined them billions of dollars. Now, if we're talking about justice, what should happen is the bank should go back to that lady, build her house in the hole that it is now, and put every one of those 180,000 people that they threw out of the city of Detroit back in those homes. They should be forced to pay all the taxes on those homes, not as lots, but as homes when they took those people out. And guess what? The city of Detroit would not be in bankruptcy. But these same banks now want these pensioners to turn around and squeeze a little bit more money out of them in order to pay them these other loans that they're holding. So they've already got juice. They've already taken our money, our federal money, our tax dollars, gotten paid. They have to pay fines, and now they still want money out of the city of Detroit. Do you know why I have this hat of Robin Hood here? Because what we're talking about here is not Robin Hood, who he robbed from the rich to give to the poor. We're talking about what happened before Robin Hood. How the wealthy people, how the kings and queens robbed the common folks, stole their
That's right.
chickens and their
Mhm.
eggs and any
Yeah,
money
doing
they
it.
had to make themselves filthy rich.
They're doing it.
That's what we're dealing with in this
They're doing
country
it
now.
now.
That's right, that's
Yeah.
right.
It's just a different concept, but they doing it.
They're doing it.
They still doing it.
And
That's right.
until we organize, unionize,
That's right.
come together as a group
That's
and
so
say,
hard.
we're not going to take it
Mhm.
anymore. But what has happened? We are angry, but we're taking it out of the wrong people.
Each other,
That's
we
right.
hurt each other.
We're
And we
killing
always
each
do
other
what we
out of
do.
anger.
Yeah.
People are
Instead of-
fighting, shooting.
Yeah, they're hurting and they take it out on the other
Other
vulnerable
person.
persons like
That's right.
themselves. Because that's
Instead of
who they
fighting,
get
you
to.
know, fighting to the real issue.
But they
Go
don't
to-
know the issue. They don't
you know.
take time to find out their way out. They caught up and then they so frustrated, then they go next door or
And
down the
shoot
street and
someone
kill
else,
and
you know.
shoot.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So we
It ought
gotta
to
do
be a
that.
way that we can educate them, or they can know what's
So what
going
is
on.
what is the example of how can we educate people to fight, you know, to fight
Well,
for,
I tell you one thing, we tell them these governments to take any more loans out to Chase Bank and draw $100 million here. We're going to try to take it from more people's houses. So don't take the loans on your house anymore. That's
especially if you know you can't afford it. If you can't afford it, do not sign on the dotted line. Do not sign that contract.
Well,
It's
keep
going
in
to
mind,
lose
keep in
money.
mind, this lady thought she could afford
Afford
it
that,
because
yeah.
they didn't tell her the whole story.
Yeah.
They
So
didn't
you
tell
gotta
her.
read the underline, the fine
That fine
print.
print.
And I think you need to consult with an attorney, especially when you're trying to buy a house. And see that's what they need to do. Mhm. So that's
Well,
what we're
I'll
doing.
tell you what we have found is that credit unions are honest.
Yeah. that's
So
true.
I would recommend, if you want a home loan or something, try to
Go
join
to
a credit union.
That's true.
At least they have not been proven, they have not been proven guilty of any of this
No,
kind of
they are.
fraudulent stuff.
And I do love my credit union.
Well, I'm not trying to make a pitch for them, but I'm
I'm
gonna tell you,
making a
when I
pitch
see
for 'em.
justice, I have to say there's where justice
I
is.
love my credit union.
So if there's a problem, try to get loans. If you have to get a loan, go to a
Credit union.
Yeah,
You know, they'll seem to be a little more reliable.
they are.
Okay,
They- well,
and just
they are
spread the
reliable.
word.
You will get a rate and they'll be honest with you
Yeah.
about it.
Very true. Very
So
true.
that's what you need to do. Thank you for calling. Ms. Marcia. Okay.
Well, for example, I was going to buy a used car and the banks had all these qualifications and, oh, well, this and that, and it was 1.99% interest, which is pretty cheap. Credit union had it.
Yeah.
Well, here, give it to us, all right. You know, and they were straightforward,
Mhm.
1.99%.
Mhm.
Every
Life of the
car
Lord.
I have ever bought when I was working went through my credit
Yeah,
union.
yeah.
Always my credit union. I never did deal with the bank because they always, like you say, so many clauses, and you got to watch all the clauses they put you in,
The
and
fine
the interest
print.
rate.
Fine print.
Interest rate is
Mhm.
was always higher than my credit union to me.
Mhm.
And they change the condition
Yeah.
of the loans whenever they want.
Mhm.
And when I
People fall
worked,
prey
I
to
dealt
that,
with
you
them.
know.
And I still deal with my credit union.
So the question, I guess, boils down to how do we get people together
Yeah.
to be able to fight some of these injustices? We have to recognize that the injustice with the wages, for the example, the $15 an hour, is similar to the rights and the justice of the pensions. So even though we may not be working for $15 an hour, or we may not be working at minimum wage, we may be having to support those folks when
Yeah.
they do those actions.
Yeah.
And we should be, because it's the just thing. And then they'll come and support the pensioners when they need it. In fact, the last time they had a rally, there was a whole group of people with 15, and the people said, who's that group? I said, they're the ones who's working to build up that minimum wage.
Right.
See, that's
Yeah.
true.
So
But see, when
we have to realize that.
Because see what it's a common good for everyone. But see what happened is with us is we're selfish. Where it doesn't affect me, so I'm not gonna get involved, you know. I have a job, so I'm not worried about the ones who are trying to get 15%.
Yeah.
But you should be concerned because that's your brother, that's your sister. And then when they somebody rob you, and then you want to get upset. Well, if you go out and fight for people that have the right to a livelihood, where they can feel good about themselves. When people feel good about themselves, everybody's happy.
And then they
You're
treat
happy.
you good.
That's right.
So
Everybody's
remember
right
that.
about
We
they're
are all
happy.
our brother's keepers.
That's right.
We forget about that,
Mhm.
but we truly are our brother's keeper.
Mhm.
See, because if after somebody robs Sally down the street, you're going to be next.
That's right.
So try to help Sally keep from being robbed.
That's right.
And then that way it just a snowball effect. We
That's
all protect each other.
That ripple
Because
effect.
that's what
Mhm.
God said you're supposed to do in the first
That's
place.
true.
Just look out for each other and try to work whereas we will build our own economy. When one suffer, we all suffer. When one reap benefits, we all
That's
reap.
right.
So
So be happy for the
Yeah.
other person.
And I think one of the major examples of that is New York City.
yeah.
New York City last year reported a huge decrease in crime.
Mm-hmm.
They have pushed for higher minimum wage. It's a big union town, so people are working. I was there for a conference last October, and some people that were from Detroit, and they had invited me to come to this area. It was the Old Bowery area. And I'm thinking, this late at night going down there, you know, when I was there a few years ago, you had to kind of watch your back. I got up off that subway, got in that area. It was so lively. Everyone was walking around and friendly.
Is that just-
You just cannot realize what money can
Can
do
do. Yeah.
for people.
Oh, I know what it can
They-
That's right.
And,
Change
and
their life.
we're not talking a whole lot of money. We're just
No,
talking
just
enough
enough.
to bring you out of poverty. That's all we're talking
do.
about.
Just to make you feel good about
Feel good
yourself.
about yourself.
That's
Get up
it.
in the morning and say, well, I have a job and
Yeah.
I'm happy, I can feed my family. You know, especially men, they want to be able to feed their family.
And they
So
want to
they
be
can't,
able
then
to
they-
sing
yeah.
and dance to that
Yeah.
song, I'm happy, I'm
Yeah,
happy.
that's true.
We all, I just love that song because he just makes me feel good about me.
Mhm.
And when I'm in and out of different places and visiting with different people, I'm always telling you, just don't give up hope. And I think that's what is happening to us.
Mhm.
We forgetting that we got to keep holding on to what
Just
God
hold
gave
on.
us.
That's right.
And then we got to, as we hold on, get knowledgeable too. Remember that. Don't just hold on and be ignorant in how you can help yourself.
That's right.
Learn how to help yourself and how to help others. Because we do interdepend on each other. We intertwine with each other. So if you helping yourself and helping your neighbor, everybody get a little bit of help. And remember that and go down and to these meetings and find out as much as you can about what you can do and how you can be involved.
That's
Just
true.
like looking for the 2 children. Here I told my kids, let's go help look for these kids. They said, Mother, you say your back was hurt. Oh, it'll stop. After I go looking for the kids, my back stopped hurt. It's just you got to get involved.
That's right.
And you will feel better when you're
You
doing
involved.
something for somebody else.
That's true. Because you'll forget about your own problems
Yeah.
when you're out there helping someone else. That's what happens.
And that's the way we got to feel about everything else.
We
Until
also-
we find these kids, I ain't gonna stop being miserable.
Mhm.
Cause my spirit is not where it's usually are.
Mhm.
Because 2 kids missing.
That's right. That's right.
And that's what we gotta be about our life
Mhm.
and
See-
everything.
See, what we have to realize, and as sociologists or social workers, we see this all the time.
Mhm.
When somebody has a job, they have self-esteem,
Mm-hmm.
they have dignity and respect about themselves, and they feel this pride that I'm taking care of somebody.
That's right.
When you don't have
Yes,
a job,
yes.
you feel downtrodden, you're fearful, you're scared,
Worthless.
you feel worthless, all that stuff.
true. That's
And then
true.
what does that mean? That translates into anger.
That's right.
That's exactly what FDR said. He says, if we are able to create world wars, if we're able to do battle against each other as human beings, there are some elements that we can do in a society that will make it a healthier society so we do not have to go to war,
That's
that we
right.
have
That's right.
safety and tranquility in the society.
That's right.
And those 8 things that he talks about, is a job. Now when he talks about a job, there are 3 things he says about the job. You have to have enough to take care of yourself,
That's right.
your family. What's the 3rd thing?
And
You have to have leisure,
That's right.
activity,
recreation.
different things you need to move.
Why is that important? Because you shouldn't have a job that you're struggling to move
That's
from
right.
one job to another
That's right.
to make ends meet.
Amen.
You have to be able to make
That's
enough
right.
so you can relax with your family and take care of those babies.
That's right.
And if you don't have that, it's going to create tension in the society.
All the time.
He said that way back then. Why haven't we listened? Because you know what he said? Maybe we can show that tape. He says the other side always tells you, we have a better idea. Didn't we hear that from Snyder?
Yeah.
We have a better idea. I'll give everybody jobs by giving these 86% tax breaks to the corporation. Well, I'll tell you what, my neighbors still don't have those jobs. That was 3 years ago. He promised that. 3 years ago he taxed the seniors. 3 years ago he increased insurance. 3 years ago he pulled food out of people's mouths.
That's right.
In order for those jobs to come to fruition, they haven't done that yet.
That's
No,
right.
So don't forget that.
That's right.
It's important what we vote, and it's important how we come together.
That's right.
and I truly believe you got to remember what he haven't done. Now,
That's
and
right.
all that he said he's gonna do, he
That's
haven't
right.
done
And
anything.
because the election is coming up
Coming
again.
again,
So
and
you
we
gotta
get back
remember
in that
those
rut.
things, okay?
And don't work me so hard on
Okay.
these elections. Get
That's
busy
right.
and
That's
do
right.
some of this stuff while I can relax
And
too.
do something, but don't sit
Yeah.
home and
Yeah.
say, well, if my vote is not gonna count. That's a problem that we have. My vote is not gonna count. Your vote will count, you just gotta get up and and decide that I'm gonna be a part of this.
If you
Not
feel
sit back
good
and-
about yourself,
Yeah.
you do it.
That's
sister.
right.
You gotta
Well,
feel
sit
good about
back.
it.
Well, we saw what
Just
happened
relax.
with President Obama. When they
Yes.
said you
People
couldn't
got
elect
up.
him, people came out and
Wow.
spent
And that's how
hours
it
in
is.
line to make sure they
Yes,
can
that's
vote.
right.
So to say we can't change it, that's wrong. We
That's
can
right.
change it.
You can make a difference. Your vote does count.
Yeah.
And before we do go off, we want to introduce hopefully our new secretary, Miss
Okay.
Edna Austin. Why don't you come and just say hi, Edna?
Okay.
You gotta say anything, just say hi. No, she's
Hi,
one of our
everyone.
guests. She was on one of our plays.
Okay.
So this is very important that we stop talking so much. Many times we talk so much, but we don't want to put no action behind it. That's what makes me so angry.
Oh, but we
You talk
good at
too
that.
much.
That's our
But you
motto.
don't want to
Yeah.
do any
Yeah,
action.
we good at
Let
that.
the action come behind your work. They say work without, is dead, so you gotta put.
Faith without work is dead. You
Yeah, that's
gotta
right.
be moving and you gotta care enough about what's going on
That's right.
around you. Cause the people that's doing a lot of this crime and things, my heart go out to them, cause I know they frustrated.
Mhm.
And I know they angry and I know they hurting and I know a lot of things going on with them.
Mm-hmm.
But we gotta try to make it just a little bit better for them.
Okay,
And maybe we need to introduce them to the Lord. I know most of them need that, but
That's
you
right.
can't even be introduced to the Lord if you're home and your kid, you don't want no introduced to the Lord, you want some bread. And so
that's right.
all that comes to play. You gotta feed them and then they might wanna hear about the Lord.
Mhm.
How about
That's
it?
right, that's what,
How about
because
it?
we gotta be about our Father's business.
Got to do it.
We gotta
Got
do
to
that.
do it.
So we have enjoyed, talking with you out there
Yes,
today.
we have with
And-
Ask Bob.
That's right.
We asked Bob and he cleared
Anytime
you.
with community relations, when we're
Yeah.
talking about community relations, we're gonna ask Bob, because
Yeah.
he's out there in the trenches
He
and
is.
trying to make changes.
Yes.
So, but he needs you, he needs me, he needs all of us to work together.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we have enjoyed this,
And you know,
talking with you.
one of the things we have to realize is that there's been a number of proposals to create jobs for everyone across this country.
Mhm.
But there's the party with the Republican Party in Congress has stopped it every time. There's a bill out there with that Capter, Representative Capter out of Ohio, and John Conyers out of Michigan is sponsoring, and what is, it's Bill 1000, and it would create jobs as a human right in this country. Very same things that FDR said. that the jobs would be of a decent wage, that you'd take care of your family, there'd be no union busting, you would be able to provide. And if you weren't qualified, then we would train you for those jobs,
And that's
all
very
under
good.
federal grants. Now you say, where's the money going to come from? Believe me, if we stop putting money into these prisons and stopped wasting it in other areas, look
That's
at the
right.
criminal justice system that we
That's
have.
right.
And it's
Oh,
just unbelievable what people are being put into the criminal justice system and being recognized as felons for.
Mhm.
I saw one guy the other day and I thought, I knew the guy from the street. I thought, what did he do? Flipped open to the page, child support, felon for child support. And it's not like he isn't out here struggling. He's one of these guys that I know works a couple jobs trying to make ends meet.
Okay.
You see, you know.
Well, we know it's rounding up time, but we've enjoyed asking Bob, and we
That's
hope
right.
you got something while we ask Bob.
That's right. That's right.
You got, only way you're going to learn and get anything is by asking someone
Ask
else
them
which way
questions.
you need to go.
Mhm.
And don't be too embarrassed, ashamed to do that.
That's
Get
right.
involved, become an active person.
That's
In
right.
your communities, in your homes, everywhere.
Just ask
Just
questions,
ask
you know.
questions, okay?
And you stop, just don't talk so much, just be about your father's business, get busy and doing something, try to make a change, because it doesn't take, all it takes is one person to make a difference.
Amen.
And so that's what we want you to do, make a difference.
And we will get back to you again and see what you're doing out there. You was
That's
all
right.
quiet today.
One day, if people are being taken care of with good health care and a good
Yeah.
job, we can definitely love one another.
Yes,
right.
we can.
And guess
Set the
what?
foundation.
It's easy to love when your
That's
stomach
That's-
full.
That's true. And guess what? We love you out there, and guess
Yeah.
what?
You
There's
can't-
nothing you can do about it.
it.
Until next week, we love you, and have a blessed week.
Okay,
Take
take
care.
Contact us at 313-615-6323 and send your donations to P.O. Box 40154, Redford Township, Michigan 48210.
At Standard Rehabilitation Incorporated, located at 15785 Illinois in Detroit, we can take care of your rehabilitation needs. Dr. Bellows and his staff of healthcare professionals have extensive experience in rehabilitation and pain management. Our services include treatment for fractures, auto injuries, chronic and acute pain, work and stress-related injuries, just to list a few. Transportation is available. Dr. Bellows is standing by to service you at Standard Rehabilitation Incorporated.
What's going on, y'all? It's Mr. Bell. Some know me as Antone Quarboy Bell. Others know me as Elder Antone Bell. I am co-CEO of Bell Global Network, BGN TV 2090. And I want to invite you right now to get your own broadcast. Calling all ministries, all politicians, all business owners. Get your own broadcast right now, starting at $99. And if you have an idea for a TV show, we can bring your idea to reality. We have packages available that includes production and facilities. Also, we have advertising packages starting at little $25. So don't hesitate. Give us a call at 313-355-7877. Once again, that's 313-355-7877 to make an appointment today.
You never ever let me down, and when I'm sinking in sin, you never ever let me drown. You're my lifeguard, my security. You took my insecurities and put me in the lion's den and took out all the fear in me and gave me unlimited, undeniable faith. In your arms I am safe, and for that I give you praise. Thank you, Lord. When I'm going through, I can still call on you, and I say, thank you, Lord. My soul says thank you. My soul says thank you.
What's going on, y'all? It's Mr. Bell. Some know me as Antone Quarboy Bell. Others know me as Elder Antone Bell. I am co-CEO of Bell Global Network, BGN TV 2090. And I want to invite you right now to get your own broadcast. calling all ministries, all politicians, all business owners. Get your own broadcast right now, starting at $99. And if you have an idea for a TV show, we can bring your idea to reality. We have packages available that includes production and facilities. Also, we have advertising packages starting as little as $25. So don't hesitate. Give us a call at 313-355-7877. Once again, that's 313-355-7877 to make an appointment today.
You never ever let me down, and when I'm sinking in sin, you never ever let me drown. You're my lifeguard, my security. You took my insecurities and put me in the lion's den and took out all the fear in me and gave me unlimited, undeniable